What does all this suggest? It first suggests that the three models need help. Now, one easy way to kind of supplement, and I think people rhetorically are on board with this, is they say, well, you got to get to the left of boom. Left is this direction. So you want to get to people even before they act and say, no, 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 no. Here's why. You don't want to do that. They say it. I don't think they do it. That brings up this other model. Now, I tried in 1994 and succeeded in getting the CIA to set up an office to do this. Let me tell you, it failed. By the way, I'm very proud of the failure. The charitable foundations aren't quite on board with that. They seem to think everything you do should be a success, which is silly. The idea was, in the Cold War, you had a competitor making nuclear weapons. You knew he had nuclear weapons. It was Russia. And the game was just staying ahead a few years. So what you did is you went out, and you listened, and you looked for images and information that would tell you, what has he got? And if you saw a bomber, you went, oh crap, well, we got to build a better bomber. Or if you had an arms control agreement, you'd say, hey, we're not supposed to do that. So getting a signal or an image of something that was bad was great. It worked. With the spread of nuclear weapons and nuclear capable systems, you get an image, what do you got? Trouble. It's too late. You have to admit you screwed up, that your policy was a failure. You have to hide it. Or better yet, you give it to the adversary and say, hey, make the image go away. And I have seen 2 or 3 undersecretaries do exactly that. Should be a crime, shouldn't it? No, no. They did it. So the way around that second problem set, intellectually at least, is why don't we not wait for the images of proof? Because that's too late. At that point, you either, I always say, grovel or bomb. Those are your options. And if you're smart, you don't do either. Just kind of don't talk about it. Yeah? Instead of that, why can't we just imagine the futures that we want and the futures we don't want? Take that imagination and say, our objective is to avoid X and to get Y, and work backwards from that to get what they call national intelligence tasks. They call them NITs. They call it nitpicking. You start looking for things that will show you whether you're getting to your happy place or the end of the world. Brilliant. I published this. I get a phone call from the agency. They said, we'd like you to come talk. I said, what on? They said, well, we can't tell you. I said, well, that's going to make it kind of hard to figure out what I'm going to say. He said, well, we want to protect. I said, this is ridiculous. Look, I don't have a clearance for the moment. I'm not going to be talking classified. You can tell me over the phone. They said, well, we would like you to explain this concept. I did. They set up an office. And what happened? Nobody from the policy community at any level that was senior would ever come to the meetings at that organization. Why? Oh, I'm a policymaker. You want me to tell you what I want, what I don't want. Put it on a sheet of paper. Well, what if I don't achieve that? Then I'm a failure. Better not to participate at all. You want some of your money back. That's pretty cowardly. That's the problem. It may be that it's intractable, but it tells you a lot. What do you need to support doing that blue sky drill? I mean, it's useful to know where the dysfunction in government is. First thing you need to do is you need to put a higher priority on proliferation. Now, right now, what are we worried about? We're worried about China and Russia, right? We can only usually talk about problems in 5 to 10 year chunks. And in the next 5 to 10 years, we're talking about them maybe getting, I don't know, hundreds of more things. Maybe. Probably won't even be that much, but maybe. Okay, what if I was to tell you that the spread of nuclear weapons and certain kinds of peaceful civil technology, if you go out 20 years, might enable China not to have several hundred more or several thousand more, but 10 to 20,000 weapons worth of plutonium, call it fast breeder reactor program. Or that Japan wouldn't get one or two, or South Korea one or two, or even 10 or 20, but several hundred within, I don't know, 36 months of the decision. We do not know how to deal with that kind of strategic uncertainty, nor are we thinking about it, or talking about it, or even doing anything but compounding or sharing the kind of technology peaceful that would make that more likely. That it's uneconomical, just blows my mind. We need to start thinking that maybe the spread of nuclear weapons like that might matter, and that indeed Japan, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, they might get nuclear weapons. Instead, what do we talk about? Iran and North Korea, Iran and North Korea, Iran and North Korea, Iran and North Korea. It's bigger than that, folks. If those things that I just mentioned occur, it will change the strategic landscape in a manner that we may not be able to cope with. And oh, by the way, right now, it's reasonably easy to avoid this. Got to talk about it. Got to make it priority. Congressional oversight. How many committees have the N word in it? And I don't mean the racial epithet. Non-proliferation or nuclear. One. Used to be a lot more. How many reports annually are there on proliferation developments? There used to be several. 0. Then my favorite is defense guidance. Does anybody know what the Pentagon does? They actually write up a document every few years, and it's supposed to describe the threats that we're going to deal with in the next 20 years. Do you know how long it's been? Or when was the next time we had a nuclear war game at any level close to that? Simple answer, it's not happening. Maybe you need to start again. That would help. What else? Well, plan backwards. One of the projects I have, and I hope to be working with the University of California, San Diego on, and working with the Pentagon loosely, is getting young people in the military, intel, and policymaking. Who've been in the Gov for maybe 5 years, look like they're winners, and they're going to stay in public service, and get them working on a country-specific strategy, working backwards from bad scenarios and good scenarios. We're focusing on South Korea, Japan. They, I discovered, never work together. They never take any courses together. As the president would say, that's sad. Why is it sad? The military, the intel community, and policymaking community have very different protocols on how they escalate information up the chain. And if you're working with one of them, you won't understand what they are going through because you don't talk to them and don't know. You do not want to wait until the crisis to find out how another agency works. Try to change that. What else? Oh, you guys, me, we're part of the problem and solution too. You said stupid people in political science. It's a problem.
Oh, one person.
One person. Yeah.
But that's the person.
Yeah, but he's probably not the only stupid political scientist.
No.
One of the things you can do is what we're doing right here. Bring a has-been to the wannabes. You need war stories, folks. I don't know about you, but I don't get excited about my future if I haven't seen somebody else tell me how exciting it might be based on firsthand experience. Part of the problem is if you work in the government, you have clearances. They tell you you can't talk. And then you die with your stories and no one hears them. We've got to change that. In the interim, I'm trying to bring more people into the San Diego area because it is a military area and there are people that are just interested in other places. Also, when people go out of the government, we don't have a record of who knows what. We don't even ask them, what are the 3 most important cases you worked on that's of interest maybe to somebody else? So we don't even know who these people are. That's easy to fix. There aren't really serious effort, well, there are some. This is actually getting better, but there need to be serious fellowships where you work, I think, at least on the Hill first. I'm trying to stand that up. There's another place that does it where you can do a lot better with it. Changing the security system so you can get younger people into the system in something less than 2 years, which is absurd. Also, we need to kind of think about our security differently. Instead of trying to prevent every leak, we need to have a system that can tolerate some leaks, because you're going to get them.